Hey, this is Double Negative, a photography podcast by Will Malone, with your host, me, the titular Will Malone. In this episode, I want to talk about when we run out of ideas and how to get more. But first, if you want to support the Double Negative project, you can like this video and subscribe to my channel if you're picking up what I'm putting down. You can also go into the description, click the link, and go subscribe to my weekly newsletter on Substack, the Double Negative Dispatch. It's a weekly newsletter with thoughts and musings and talk about, who knows, I may talk about RoboCop and photography. I just mush things together in a soup and I send them to your email inbox every week. You can also follow me on Instagram at Will Malone. You can follow my Polaroid and Instant Film Instagram account at Everyday Instant. But the ultimate way you can support the whole Double Negative project is by going to willmalone.com and purchasing a print. I'd feel honored if you bought a print to hang on your wall. Okay, but now to the topic at hand. What happens when you feel like you've run out of ideas for photo series, for YouTube videos, for social media topics, for content, for all this stuff? And what do you do and how do you fix it? Well, it's interesting. So I feel like this past January was kind of a big reset period for me. So I did this daily Polaroid project all last year, every single day. And then in January, I was kind of like, okay, now what? So I spent the time talking to this camera, talking to you in these solo monologue podcasts. And then it turns out, okay, well, that's good. So let's keep doing that. And then I was like, okay, but what about my photography adventure videos? Because it was always easier to come up with videos to make when I have an ongoing project go on. So anytime I didn't know what video to make last year, I was like, oh, well, I can just do an update about the Polaroid 365, talk about Polaroids, because it was just there. I didn't have to pull some weird video out of my butt, talking about, this point and shoot camera, shoots film for cheap or something like that. Those dumb videos you see all the time. I didn't have to do that. I actually did it a couple times. So, I've call myself out there. I did pull a couple videos out of my butt, but I could lean on the fact that I was doing this Polaroid project and I always had something to say about it. And so this is kind of the year where I started just making the podcast more my thing, because it just works in the format that I work. And I think people are really enjoying and connecting to it. So that helped. But then what, right? So then I go through this whole January of just trying to think about what I want. What do I want out of photography? What am I looking for? Why am I a photographer? What am I taking pictures of? What do I want to take pictures of? What do I even want to do? And, I've done a series of really life-consuming projects many times over my photography career. Probably the biggest of which was when I would go around photographing small towns. That was 3 or 4 years of my life that I can't get back. No, I'm just kidding. But, it was 3 or 4 years of my life that also kind of became a business, and it supported me. But it was a lot of hard work, and I was traveling to different small towns, photographing them, but I had a mission in mind. Essentially, the whole goal of it was to create images that would go into dentist offices and law offices and banks and that kind of thing. And it wasn't necessarily even just a business idea. It was a business idea, but it wasn't just about, hey, let me sell these prints. It was kind of also saying something about that type of art, which I think people throw out. It was saying something about stock photography, the idea that I kind of wanted to create really nice, Hobby Lobby art, essentially. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day. People used to get really mad because I wouldn't sign those prints. I didn't sign them because I wanted them to feel commercial. I wanted them to feel I didn't want them to feel like a photographer artist made this. I wanted them to be like the art that you hang in a dentist's office and it'll be there for the next 30 years until some young buck comes in and says, hey, this art sucks and is out of date. Let's switch it out. And I kind of wanted to make my own version of that. And looking back, that was the fun aspect of it. I think it got a little mushed in, the need for money, the need for, anxiety. I don't know. It became unhealthy. I got burned out on it. And I still sell them. I still do it in that way, but it's just I'm not chasing it like I was. And I may revisit it at some point, but right now I'm just not. I don't have the capacity to shoot that way with those high expectations of of needing to shoot a courthouse at a particular time of day, or scout it out so I know where the light hits at what time. And it would just be like, I would go out to shoot these scenes, but I would have to do so much legwork to make sure I was getting it at the time I wanted to get it. And so it was just like, it was a lot of money for not worth the time. A lot of times, like, I went to Texas for a whole 2 weeks to shoot a bunch of Texas images, and I sold 2 prints of that, right? The prints I sold the most of, the prints that actually paid my bills, were just prints that I shot around home because I was more easily able to access a network and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I'm getting off track. I've done life-consuming projects, okay? But then after the small town photo project, I ran out of ideas. I was burned out. I just wasn't being fed anymore. And that was the problem. I wasn't being fed. So I read, during COVID, I read this huge biography of Johnny Cash. And it was really good. It was a journey, though. Like, reading a biography is an intense experience. I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but when you read a biography, and a lot of times it takes me a long time because you feel like a biography spans a whole life. So when you're reading it, you feel like you're living that life with them, and you get so consumed in their life that it's like exhausting. And so I read this giant autobiography by Johnny Cash. I need to look up what it is called so I can recommend it because it is very good. I'm a big Johnny Cash fan, by Robert Hilburn. Johnny Cash by Robert Hilburn. That's what I read. Okay, so extremely good book. It talks about Johnny Cash's like hobby horses, like what he was into. And, it's funny. His dream music to make was like gospel music. He wanted to do that, but it was never commercially viable. So he never really got the chance to like really dig into that because nobody really wanted that. They wanted other types of hits. But the point of what I'm telling you, trying to get there, is that he had this section where he talked about touring, where when he was on tour, he didn't like touring. And it's simply because touring wasn't a creatively fulfilling experience, because you create the stuff and then you go out on tour and just run it into the ground, singing it to people, whatever. And so he said that time you can never really create new music, and that's always draining. All you're doing when you're on tour is just spending that creative capital that you had been building up inside yourself. And that's ultimately what the Small Town Photo Project did for me. Is there came a certain point where I was just spending. I was just spending, and then I was not taking anything in. I felt like I wasn't really being like super fed because I was just going. And it's exhausting. And in fact, today, these algorithms are getting freaky. Today I was looking at Reels, and this one of David Lynch came up where he's like ranting at a table of like executives or whatever. It's pretty amazing. I showed it to my wife. She thought it was funny, where he's like getting mad about the fact that like, hey, we're losing this actor. We've got her for 2 days, so we got to shoot this in 2 days. And he's like, why? Why do we have to force this in 2 days? This seems like an arbitrary deadline. And then he's going off and he's like, last week we were in this place. I could have spent a whole week there, but we don't have time to experiment. We're just work. He's like, we don't have time to experiment. We don't have time to try things. We don't have time to like be dreamy about anything. And he's like, this is a horrible way to work. Right? But that's how everything works. That's how life works. Like social media works that way. Social media just really, at the end of the day, the machine wants you to just keep putting stuff in it. But if you're making things, if you're creative, if you just get in that mode where you just start putting stuff in, if you just start putting stuff out and output is all you're doing, then you're going to run out of ideas. You're done. And so I think David Lynch was very conscious of this because he built his whole career and wrote books about the subject, talked about it in many interviews about how to make sure you are creating an environment where ideas come to you. And I think that is something that has been lost to a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't think about the importance of keeping a steady stream of ideas. And sometimes, there's just seasons of life where you're in a promotion stage, where you're just like promoting your work. You have to go on tour. There's, stages where you do just have to output. But because the hustle of photography doesn't stop. It doesn't. It's like everybody always needs photography to just keep going unceasingly and never stopping. Instagram needs you to keep posting forever. You got a weekly newsletter you got to do. You got a podcast to put out every week. Like, really, if I could only do this and then I'll, get burned out and whatever. But it doesn't have to be that way, I don't think. I'm not perfect at this. I've gotten okay at it where I have a pretty high output but still can get new ideas. And the way I have done this, I spent this past January kind of meandering. I've been protesting busyness, I guess is what it is. I've been trying not to have anything on my schedule. I haven't been going to events. I haven't really been doing anything extra other than the work that needs to get done. And then that's it. Like, there are essential work things that get done. There's family time I need to spend with my family. But past that, I've been like cutting out a lot of stuff because I was feeling after taking a Polaroid every single day, like I gotta get a flow of some new ideas coming in. Or else, like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I a photographer? What am I doing here? What do I want to take pictures of? If I have the boldness to come talk to a camera every week, what is there to talk about? Am I just going to come on here and talk about some random new camera? Am I going to talk about, the problems with YouTube itself? Am I going to talk about, just the same old stuff that's super insular and just part of that cycle of putting out where you're not being fed anything new? No, I want to have something to say. I want to feel good about what I have to say. So I'm doing a new project. I'm working on a new project, and I'm not going to talk about it yet, but I'm not going to talk about specifically what it is yet, but I put out this new video called Bathroom Photography. In a second. Like I said, I'm sick. There's nothing to do about it. And it's weird. It's kind of unhinged. And I kind of knew that. So I have the next 3 weeks of Wednesday videos. 3 weeks? Yeah. Next 3 weeks, maybe a month of Wednesday videos are going to be this kind of unhinged format. First off, it's fun to make. They're fun to make. I enjoy them. Honestly, the rhythm and cadence of this video will kind of give you an idea what it's like when I run around taking photos, because this was pretty accurate to what it is. There was no acting in this. This was fully what it is. I've gotten a couple messages about somebody, people think I'm losing my mind. That's how I am, actually. This video is very accurate. I just didn't edit out the parts I normally edit out that makes you feel like I'm just this calm Zen person that apparently everyone thinks I am. But I was taking photos of bathrooms in the video, which seems like, why? Okay, why? Well, I'm not going to talk about why, but I've got another video that I'm about to film where I'm going to reveal a series of photos of a certain subject matter. That's also weird that I've been shooting for actually 3 months now. And I actually have a pretty full series of this. And we're going to talk about that next week. And then the next week, we're going to talk about another series I've been working on. I've had all these mini series in my mind, and I haven't known what to do with them. And so I just been sitting around and thinking, flipping through photo books. And what I decided to do was to go deep. I decided to go old. I decided to go 1900s or late 1800s and just start digging into what the photography landscape was there. And it's funny what you find when you go that far back, which, is not far from the beginning of photography, is, the late 1800s into the 1900s was a transition in the photography world, kind of like we've experienced over the past few years with social media and digital photography, maybe now even with AI. But there's just this thing where the original business of photography is being shaken up because there's some sort of large democratization event happening and changing how people do photography and view it. And some people run up against it and are mad and don't want to be part of it. And then others embrace it. And then others are inspired by the new changes because it finally feels like they can have something to say. And so I'm digging into this time, and I gotta say, when you go deep, I've got some books by Walker Evans. I got some books about certain, I'm trying not to give away this project yet, certain mediums of photography that I've been fascinated with. And when you go deep, when you go into like the deep lore, like when you're searching on used book websites for like a random book that no one's heard of and it's hard to find, but it's like $6 and it's got like all this weirdo information in it about this very specific thing. There's something so satisfying and amazing about that. You feel invincible because you feel like, oh, I found a gold mine. I found a treasure trove of ideas. No one's looking here for some reason. Why is no one looking here? Everybody's too busy looking at the biggest photography YouTubers and trying to get ideas from them. Well, they're the biggest photography YouTubers. Again, I'm not going to throw shade at the biggest photography YouTubers, but they're on the backside. They're not doing new things. They're on the roller coaster and they're going down. And I don't mean they're going down like, they're over, their careers are done, but they're not. They found something that worked and they're riding that and they're going down the roller coaster. It's easy right now because they can just keep making that thing they always made that worked for them and they can just ride that. I would love to be there because it seems nice to be able to just make something consistently that works. And maybe I will get there eventually. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just saying that if you're sitting around and you're watching the absolute biggest things, the Marvel movies, the people that are thrown in your face, you don't have to look very far, they're just there, then you're going to get caught in the cycle of running out of ideas or having the same ideas as everybody else, which is akin to having no ideas because you're not going to push anything forward when you're just looking at what is presented to you, to your eyeballs via your algorithm or whatever, because everyone's seeing that stuff. That's what everyone's seeing. The stuff, if you want real ideas, if you want really good ideas, you have to start paying attention and looking where no one else is, right? And easy cheat code for that, history. Go way, way back. And so I've been digging for this project, and I probably will reveal like what this is in probably a couple weeks. I'm giving myself till sometime in March, just because I need time to kind of get some parts of it together. I don't know if I've been this excited for a while about a project. It's a small town photo project kind of level thing, but it's lighter, it's more fun, and I think it's just really interesting. It has been. The more I dig into it, the more fascinated I am with it. And this could be a thing that totally bombs. I mean, the video I posted this week of photographing bathrooms has like not done that well, but it's also the first video of a new kind. So I'm not going to be like, oh, it didn't work. This whole idea doesn't work. I'm going to stick to the plan and just kind of tool it to see how it works. So, but the photos I'm focusing on, so there's kind of two ideas at play. There's the overall like project I'm doing, which is small town photo project level, meaning I'm making photography to go to a certain place. I'm making it for a certain reason. I'm doing it. I'm combining my subject matter with a particular medium of photography. And so the other thing I've been doing is just digging through, I don't know of another word for this, boring photography, right? Last week talked about how I went deep into my own archive and just saw an insecure person. I saw somebody who leaned on flashy photo tricks and gimmicks to try to get attention, to try to ride the Instagram thing, to try to be cool or be something else. And so I've been very interested in photography that's like not that interesting. I don't want to reveal anything yet. I have so much to talk about in the next couple weeks. It's like almost overwhelming. This bathroom video, it just by itself almost makes no sense, but I just put it out. I want to talk about it. I will soon. I've gone off on a couple friends that I have about this idea, and I've just like berated them with my excitement. Does that make sense? Berated with excitement. Anyways, I've worn my wife out. I've worn out friends talking about this idea. Very excited about it. I cannot wait to just spill it to you. Maybe in a couple weeks. I just need time. I need time to like get it ready. But I talked about this in last week's newsletter. I've been digging into William Eggleston, right? He's not 1900s. He's still alive, but he's got this book. I talked about it last week, Eggleston's Guide, right? And then one of my commenters in the last video talked about Alex Soth's thoughts on Eggleston, which I haven't really watched any Alex Soth videos. So I went and dug into his stuff, and specifically the video where he talks about William Eggleston. And he describes William Eggleston as an open eye. And that triggered some stuff for me, because an open eye, what could he mean by that? Well, he means somebody that's just, to me, what that sounds like is somebody who is viewing their surroundings as anything's on the table to be an image. Not necessarily just the things that are screaming, make an image, right? Photographers, I talked about how photographers should be the best at noticing, but often we're not. Basically, we're looking for things that we think are cool photographs. We bring our expectations to the work, and we shoot the things that we want to look cool. We want it to look a certain way. We want to be perceived a certain way. And so we bring all these expectations. We bring our own influence to every photo we shoot. And certainly Eggleston did that somewhat, but Eggleston's photography looks very, I don't know, it's like the people's photography. It's like photography that's not technically exciting. It's not technically impressive at all, which seems to be what we're most fascinated with in the modern day because of social media and stuff. It's just photos of life. And I think you have to be you have to have a mature eye to really understand what he was going for in these photos. And like what they're about and what feeling they're trying to convey. And so he had an open eye, meaning like, what's an example that would let's see. Yeah, like this. Okay. This photo right here of the community pool. There's a community pool actually that when me and my wife were dating, there was a community pool in a town nearby here in South Carolina that we would go to, and it's now shut down, but it kind of looks like this. But it's not a visually striking image, but it is an image of a thing. And he felt like it would make a good photograph. So it's just, he's kind of game for anything, I guess. It's kind of how I took that. Open eye. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. I don't know. But anyway, so this project I'm doing, the way I'm trying to look at everything is with an open eye. And so I've been walking around, I've been driving around, I've been just kind of not even always having my camera with me, but I've been just trying to be accepting of whatever comes my way, right? And just whatever's there. And so lately, I haven't been doing a ton of double exposures. I haven't been doing a ton of like fancy work. I haven't been doing a ton of abstracts. I've been kind of just photographing what's there. And that's what now when looking back at my archives, that's what 15-year older Will wish, 15-year younger Will had done. I wish I could go into my archives and look at the world around my younger self and connect with what life was like back then. But I didn't do that, and that was part of my complaint. You can listen to that whole episode. It's actually a pretty. I'm pretty happy with that episode, and I think I got a lot of good messages about people really connecting with it. So it's a good episode. If you haven't heard it, go listen to last week's episode about when your photography exposes your insecurity. So this project I'm working on, it's about being open. It's about seeing what's actually there. I'm anti-curation. I'm anti, how do I put it? I used to do real estate photography. I am now anti putting the seat down on the toilet in the bathroom. That was like a big thing in real estate photography, is like, you got to remember to put the seat down in the toilet when you're photographing a house. Got to make sure to fix the toilet paper. You got to make sure to get the rag off the sink. I'm anti that now. In my photography, I'm anti-fixing anything. I'm anti-fixing, somebody's hair that's in their face in a portrait. I'm done with that. I'm over it. Everything is so clean and crisp and posed and fake. Everyone's memories are fake. Everyone's family photos are fake. Like, family photos now are an abomination. Okay, we made it. We made it to Will Rant Hour. Family photos now are an abominable creation. I hate them. I hate most people's family photos because you're going to end up in the same boat I was in last week looking at my archive. If you're looking at these posed photos in your white linen shirts on a beach amongst seagrass, or if you're in a park and you're all posed with your family and you guys look like way too good and you look all way too happy, that is never in any situation a reflection of reality whatsoever. ever, 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 ever. I've got photos of my family where we posed on a beach in white linen shirts. Look at this. I haven't not worn black. I rarely wear any colors. Yet there are photos of me and my family all wearing white. That is not a document of my family at all. There's nothing in that photo other than we're on the beach near where we lived, because we lived in Hawaii, but there's not really like a document of anything we're about in those photos. Like, family posed fake family photos are terrible unless they are the bad Olin Mills ones with the marbled backdrop and the weird poses, because those are just weird enough to be interesting now. But the ones where you go out to a park, you go out and you go to the beach and you wear all the same outfit, or you go to a park, and then you put Instagram or like a Lightroom preset on there that sucks all the green out of the grass. Those photos suck and they're terrible, and you're going to hate them in the future because they told you nothing about your family at the time. And I think we've always been determined to do this as a society because we feel insecure. We want to look better than we are. Understandable. But social media has only exacerbated this, where we want to take all the point of view. We want to take all the point of view. We want to take all the interestingness, all the realness, all the personality out of our photos, whether you're casual or not. But these are memories. These are things to look back on. And if you have just a bunch of curated photos to look back on, they aren't telling the truth about who you are, and they're not useful in any way. All they do is, hey, maybe expose your insecurity. Anyways, it's a miracle I haven't gone on this rant on this podcast before. But man, I hate modern portraiture, like consumer level modern portraiture now. I'm shooting a wedding in a couple weeks, a month or so, and I haven't shot a wedding in a while, but I always warn them. I'm like, listen, I am documenting what's happening. We're not going to do the fake pose. I've been to a wedding. I went to a friend's wedding years and years ago, and it was maybe the worst thing I've ever experienced. Not really. That's over dramatic. But it was terrible. Watching this photographer who they paid an obscene amount of money for, they would, do the dance, do the thing, do all the wedding stuff. And then he would make them do every single thing again so he could capture it perfect. We all lived through a wedding twice because they had to do a thing, and this photographer captured nothing organic. It was the worst experience ever. They had to do the dance twice. They had to do the cutting of the cake twice. Who knows? They might have had a fake cake brought in so they could cut. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate curation. I hate when people try to curate their Instagram feeds to just look like, corporate shills, or just like, oh, I want my grid to look really good. Hate it. Despise it. It's terrible. It's not real. It's just, it drives me nuts. Curation. I hate it. And it's like all we do now. I have been looking through my archives last week, radicalized me even more on this. So this project I'm working on is anti-curation. It is so anti-curation. It's so fun. It's so unhinged. And I can't wait to show it to you. And the only way I got there, the only way I could think to even come up with this project or even get excited about a new photography idea since photographing small towns again, was because I sat and did nothing but just kind of dig around in old stuff. I quit watching YouTube. I quit watching anything new. I quit paying attention to social media, and I just dug through the old crap. And then suddenly I felt like I had this weird invincibility. I was like, oh, I found something. I created the conditions that ideas were coming to me that I was interested in. And it was because I sat and did nothing. And I didn't go on tour, and I didn't spend my creative capital. I just was saving. I was building up creative capital. I still am. I'm just in research mode. I'm doing a ton of research. I'm picking through my photos of what's going to work for this and not, like what photo is even good, what photo has something to say. But again, it's like these photos I'm taking, I am not in, like, I don't want to interfere with what is. I'm just looking for stuff. I am looking for stuff for this project. I'm not faking it or Small Town Photo Project was just a pure curation thing because I wanted it to look super commercial. And I did that so much. I got hired to photograph a town that is not really functional as a town, really. I mean, it's very small, has a bad rap, but they hired me to take photos of the town, and it was really hard because the town's not super aesthetically pleasing. And I photographed this town and made it look really good. And so I found myself spending the Small Town Photo Project going to places like taking photos of stuff that did not look good, and I had to make it look good. And that was really hard. And at a certain point, it just kind of like drove me insane, basically, which, I was already insane. It drove me more insane. But it was just like, I'm tired. That's what everyone's doing. Everyone's trying to take something normal and make it look good, right? I would have never taken a photo of the House of Skin sign for the Small Town Photo Project because I was trying to be commercial. I don't want to hang a photo of a town in a dentist's office that has a busted sign that says House of Skin on it with an incomplete phone number. And if you want to know more about what I'm talking about with the House of Skin, go to the Double Negative Dispatch, my newsletter on Substack every week. Just did a whole newsletter about the House of Skin and more on this concept of an open eye that Alex Soth used to describe Eggleston's work. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to this video. Go to my Instagram at Will Malone. Go to my Polaroid and Instafilm Instagram account at Everyday Instant, and then go to willmalone.com, buy a print, and soon there'll be more stuff on there having to do with this upcoming project that I'm very excited about. It's killing me that I can't get into specifics, but the day I will go into specifics, it will be a whole podcast episode, and it will drive you up the wall. I'm just going to go off. I'm just going to do the thing I'm doing now, except like for a whole 30 minutes. I can't wait to, I cannot wait to tell you what I'm working on. Very fun stuff. Stay tuned. Next Wednesday, another video kind of teasing the beginning of this. It's another series of photos I'm going to go shoot. Very fun. I've shot a bunch of them already, but we're going to go out. I'm going to take you with me. We're going to go out and shoot them. Go watch my bathroom photography video. No one's watching it. It's doing terrible, but I don't care. We're having fun. We're experimenting. We're trying new stuff. You can't go from Polaroids and double exposures to just taking pictures of bathrooms and everybody just suddenly just get on board. I get it. It's jarring. It's fine. But that's what we do here. We try things. We experiment. We can't sit around too long. Of course, we'll still do Polaroids and double exposures, but this new project is it's my thing right now. So bear with me. Or don't. Just come for the podcast. That's fine too. I don't care. I'm so grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for all the messages I get, grateful for all the thought-provoking comments, all the helpful suggestions. I get people suggesting me to go check stuff out. I always check it out. If you comment on these videos with something for me to go check out, I will go check it out, just so you know. I do write these down. I take them in mind. So I am reading them. I'm listening to you. Unless you're just like an unnecessary jerk, then I probably just kind of, I don't really want to deal with that. But I am so down with everything you guys send me. So again, thank you. I really appreciate you. And I will see you again soon.